we go, guys. Welcome to Main Street Sports tonight. A fun night tonight. We're going to have some great special guests tonight here. Ron Baechle, the towel guy from the St. Louis Blues, along with organist of the St. Louis Blues, Jeremy Boyer. And we are going to have them on here shortly. Hopefully I've got them all on the call here. Let me see if I can pull them all back up here real quick. Guys, can you hear me out there in Facebook land?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Jeff, how you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great tonight, Ray. How are you? I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us the 411 on what's going on tonight, my friend.
Well, we've got both of these gentlemen, and I want to take a step back a little bit and introduce, your fondest memories of going to a major league sporting event, maybe when your family took you when you were young. You go through the entrance, and of course, if it's baseball, the green of the field, the smell of the hot dogs, the stale beer smell, whatever. But there are people there, such as the organist that you hear playing, whether it's Jeremy playing Game Time in the background or some of the other songs that he does, or the guys and gals that enhance the experience, that add the spice to the meat and potatoes that is the game itself. And that's who we have tonight with Jeremy Boyer and Ron Baechle. And I'm so excited to have both of these guys here to talk about them a little bit and how they got into this and what it is they do and their passion. So we'll start off first with Jeremy Boyer. For those of you who don't know at home, Jeremy is the organist for the St. Louis Blues. Jeremy, how long have you been the organist for the Blues now?
This elongated season would be my 13th.
13th year. But you also have a day job, so to speak, that many people don't know. That you're the director of music and liturgy for St. Francis of Assisi Catholic Church. And I guess before we get started, how has we know how the shutdowns affected your job with the Blues, but how has that affected your job with the church at all?
Everybody's not working in the offices as much. I'm working from home a lot more. But I am playing Sunday Mass, although it's literally just me, my wife sings, and like the priest. So there's, no congregation. We live stream everything. So there's, obviously social distancing, but no congregation. So we're doing the best we can to still do our jobs and get the word out there to everybody. And musically, I'm doing my part, and we just live stream it instead.
Well, that's excellent. We've seen a lot of churches going to that now, and because it's so important right now to give folks hope and faith during this critical time. And so I'm glad that you're able to do that. If you would, you're a Potosi Trojan. Talk a little bit about or discuss your journey, how you went from Potosi to the Mineral area and then study music down at Southeast Missouri State.
At Potosi, I grew up, I played sports. I played football in the fall, and I wrestled in the winter, and I ran track in the spring, and I played baseball in the summer. And on top of it all, I was in band and choirs. So I love music. I love sports. It was kind of when I was in school that I learned how to read music. And I happened to have an organ at my home that my grandmother had given my family. And I kind of started applying what I learned in band to the organ. And then, it was kind of just a natural fit while I'm watching games at home to kind of piddle around with some organ music. As I was listening to Ernie play at the arena or at Busch Stadium, and it kind of went from there. So then I went to Mac and started my music education formal degree there, and had a great 2 years at Mineral Area College, learned a lot of things, and then went to Southeast Missouri State, and that's where things really kind of took off for me in the organs this side of things. I was playing at the Cathedral in Cape Girardeau, and then I also met up with Ernie Hayes, and we started taking lessons with Ernie, and I started playing for Southeast Missouri State baseball and basketball, and even summer baseball for the Cape Girardeau Capelhaws, and it really took off from there.
So it kind of grew organically over the time, and I guess you're fortunate to meet up with longtime blues and Cardinal organist Ernie Hayes. I've been told, and I only met the man once, that he was quite the character. So
I learned lots from Ernie for sure. Not just music, but lots of jokes and lots of life stuff. So yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
My
so
question,
you've always had you're up, Ray.
Well, I want to make sure I'm on the same questions because you gave me you threw me some curveballs. I'm just going to say that here. So I've got a curveball question for you already to start off here. If aliens landed from another planet and asked you to describe what you do for the blues, what would your response be?
Man, if they had a concept of sports, maybe I would show them, what that would look like in their perspective, I guess. If not, maybe I just have to take them to a game and show them myself.
There you go.
Well, how would you describe what you do, though, for the Blues? So, okay, you're an organist, but what does that mean? This is a hockey game.
So I feel like I inject some life to the game. So as kind of a fan, but also as a member of the team, adding some different, musical elements live in real time to what's happening on the ice. I feel like being out in the crowd where I'm located, I can kind of get a feel for how everybody's feeling. And I try to funnel that into my music and, try to bring the crowd up. If I feel like they're kind of low, maybe I can feel that. And I can feel like, hey, this is going to really work well to kind of get their spirits back up. Or if it's a big moment, just riding that and keep it going and keep that momentum going.
Absolutely. I understand that and can really relate to that as well. Now, how much control do you have over what you get to play during the game?
For the most part, I get to pick whatever I play. Every once in a while, I'll get a request, or the boss will say, "Hey, play Let's Go Blues," or play a clapping type prompt. Otherwise, I kind of get to pick what I want to play, especially like pregame intermission. They might kind of give me an idea of, hey, we would like this sort of type of music maybe, and then it's my choice to fit that mood. But by and large, I kind of have control over what I get to play.
So after 13 years of doing this, you've reached a level of trust with the organization, and they know that you're not going to do something crazy, go rogue somehow. So that's cool. I always wondered about that.
Yeah.
Over to you, Ray.
Do you have an approved set list and for each game, or are you allowed to wing it, quote unquote, and improvise as the situation allows?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like they trust me enough to kind of do what I need to do, and they, my judgment. Same with the DJs who play. They kind of let them do their thing, and that's part of the fun of it all. I mean, if everything was scripted out to a T, it wouldn't have that feel that it would have if it were live and spontaneous. When something happens, you got to be able to come up with something that fits the spot. And if it was already pre-programmed or they already had like a set list, it really would not add to the moment.
Right. That's why what you do, what Ron does, what your DJ does, that's what adds that value to the experience. Like you said.
Hey, Jeremy, I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
With you being a blues fan, when he said, do you wing it? Did that offend you? We know how we all feel about the wing.
Oh,
we don't have to worry about them anymore. They're in like 31st place, aren't they?
Well, not right now, but there's still something about the word wing and red that doesn't suit me too good.
That was almost sacrilegious, right? Almost sacrilegious.
Oh, forgive me, Ron. Forgive me. That's funny. Jeremy, describe a day in the life for you when you got a game for the Blues that night. Obviously, if you worked that day at the church office or whatever. Walk us through what you need to do to get ready and during the game and all that.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of times I will work in the office during the day, and then around 3:45 p.m. I'll leave the house or I'll leave work and I'll head downtown to Enterprise Center. We usually have a 4:30 meeting. So I like to give myself plenty of time to park, and get set up at the organ, then go to the meeting. Our pregame production meeting, we kind of just talk through what's happening that night. If there's a special theme for the night, making sure that all the bases are covered. Obviously, we can't script everything that happens because we don't know what's going to happen during the game. We talk a lot about what happens in intermissions, during the media timeouts, those sorts of things, and what happens, maybe at the end of the game if there's something special. But we kind of go through those things. After that, take a little bit of a dinner break for those who want to eat at the arena. I usually go back to the organ and play around a little bit on the keys and just warm up and get set for the night, and then sit around for a little while and take it all in. And then, 6:30, 7 o'clock, we start pregame stuff going on into game time. So once the game starts, it's kind of, all hands on deck, and we all just kind of are ready to jump in whenever we need to jump in. And then usually we're done by 9 or 9:30, which is what's great about hockey. And it's not like baseball where you could be there till 2 a.m. And and I'm usually home by 11 o'clock, give or take.
So in those production meetings, I would assume it's yourself and Tom Calhoun, the Blues public address announcer, and your DJ on duty. Who else has to sit in and help coordinate those things? It's
really grown. I mean, we've added a lot over the last. When I started, I think there was maybe 8 or 9, 10 people in the meetings. I'd say now we're probably up to 25.
Wow.
A lot is there's a lot more going on because we have the new video board. We have the new screens all around the buildings. So there's a lot of folks who have to operate all those things. More cameramen. We have Tom Calhoun, of course, PA. Carl Middleman is our DJ. He's always there. We have 2 hosts, in-game hosts, Carly and James, and they're both there usually. We have the guys who do the intermission reports. We have the guys who, run a lot of the things in the building. So there's lots of folks there who we interact with. The audio engineer, everybody's kind of there.
Great. People that are casual fans that go to the games or watch on TV probably don't have an idea of just how much of that production work goes on before the game and during the game and things like that to put on the best event possible.
Yeah, there's lots of hands on decks for sure that are ready to go and do a lot of things that people would never ever see, but would definitely be missing if they didn't have it.
Right. So do the players have any input on what you're able to play prior or during the game?
Not so much for me. I don't think that they've ever said anything that I can think of for organ music. They do pick all of their pregame skate music. Mm-hmm. So when they come out for their warm-ups, all of that music is picked by the players. A lot of people sometimes will talk about that and like, why are they playing this song? But this is, it's kind of what the players want, and they play their own tunes before the game. So that's usually the players' big input.
That's no different than what I do at the high school and college level. Pre-game is for the players, or if it's baseball or softball, walk-up music, of course. But in between innings, in between periods, quarters, whatever, that's for the fans. At that point, that music's for the fans. Speaking of, just to piggyback on what Ray talked about there, do you have much interaction with the players during the season, Jeremy?
I see them obviously pretty often since we work in the building quite a bit together. I usually kind of just lay low and let them do their thing because I don't want to get in their way, and they've got a lot of stuff on their mind and a lot of things they need to do. So, I'll pass them, I'll say hey or, wave or nod to them, and they usually wave and nod back, and I kind of leave them alone. I do see a lot of alumni, and, maybe I'll say hi or have a little bit more extended conversation with them, but
sure.
The players, I kind of let them do their thing.
That's cool. Well, Ray, this is number 10 here. This is a very interesting question, and I don't know if you remember that after 2016. Obviously, that was a big moment for the Blues in taking a step forward and coming back through the playoffs and becoming a bona fide playoff team and more of a powerhouse in the league. But I'll let you go ahead and ask that one.
You said number 10?
Yes, sir.
Oh, he's keeping me on the leash tonight, so... Here we go. Okay, here we go. One of your songs that brought national attention when you played "Sad Chelsea Dagger" as the Blues knocked the Blackhawks out of the playoffs in 2016. Were you surprised at how that moment went viral by the notoriety that came in with it?
Maybe a little bit surprised. At the same time, too, it's a fierce rivalry that's gone back and forth quite a bit, and I felt like that was kind of us putting our stamp on what was to come maybe a little bit. And it was a fun moment I feel like everybody outside of Chicago, because I don't think anybody at that time liked Chicago. And I think they're all tired of hearing Chelsea Daggers. So I felt like that was a good thing and a fun thing for everybody.
I cringe every time I hear it.
As one of the oldest guys in the room, Ron talked about the rivalry being so intense with Detroit, but before Detroit got good in the 90s, I mean, it was always the Blackhawks. So for me, in my heart, the Blackhawks will always be the number one villain, followed by the Red Wings. That's just me personally.
Yeah, St. Louis, Chicago for sure. Yeah.
Aside from winning the cup, Jeremy, obviously, and some of the cool photos you've shown, that under the arch, you hoisting the cup in the air and stuff, that exaltation. Aside from last year's run and all that, what are some of the other fun moments that you have, or favorite moments you've had over the years?
Several. Keith Kachuk's last game was kind of a memorable one, and Matthew and Brady come out after the game and are skating on the ice. I brought my daughter down to the ice level, and she was out there on the ice with them, and that was kind of cool. And now they're NHL All-Stars. It's pretty awesome. And they're both super young then, and so is my daughter. And now they're teenagers or 20 somethings and playing professional hockey. It's pretty crazy. A few years ago, Jackman scored a goal from center ice on the Winnipeg Jets, and that was for a regular season moment. It was a very cool moment. I felt like, just because it was Barrett Jackman, and it was kind of towards the end of his career, and it was kind of a fun moment. But lots of different ones, lots of playoff memories. The Steen goal in overtime where he had the wraparound on Quick. Lots of fun stuff.
I think Ron had a question for you, so I'm gonna have Ron ask the question that from the last time there. Go ahead, Ron.
Now that we won the championship, and sometimes they'll zoom in on you playing a song, and I see that dainty little ring that they put on your finger. Does the weight of that ring mess up your playing any? Does that finger bag? Yeah. Yeah, there you go, buddy. Does it quite lag a little bit when that finger hits a key, or?
I think that energy keeps moving from 2019 to give me that extra little boost whenever I'm tickling and keep that thing moving there. But it's the magic of 2019. I'll put it on that.
There you go. Throw that up there one more time. We got you on the big camera here, so go ahead. Oh,
wow.
I ain't gonna be able to see it. I ain't gonna be able to see it until he talks. So
that's beautiful.
There you go. See it. It's pretty. Got the arch there. Got my name on the side, which is pretty cool.
I like it. There you go.
All
yes,
right,
sir.
There it is. Good deal.
Hey.
I got it. There we go. I know we're kind of back and forth and cutting each other out, so apologize about that. But what are some of the funniest things that you've had happen during a game while you were trying to play the organ, along with what was going on during the game?
So this is kind of funny, but also kind of embarrassing, but something that always comes to mind whenever I'm asked about it. I remember once, and I can't remember, this is several years ago, maybe 2013, 2014. I was getting ready to play as I normally would. The video or the director for the game said, "Hey, Jeremy, play something Irish." I'm like, "Why are we playing Irish?" It was just kind of out of the blue. It wasn't St. Patrick's Day. I'm like, okay. So I started playing the Notre Dame fight song, because just whatever first thing came to my head, because kind of caught me for a loop a little bit there. And so I started playing the Notre Dame fight song. And the PA, Tom Calhoun, comes on and goes, "Today we'd like to have a moment to recognize the 20th anniversary of the passing of Dan Kelly." And I just wanted to crawl under the organ.
Oh, no.
They didn't say, "Hey, this is going to be, for Dan Kelly," which I totally played something different. Oh, Danny boy, something else.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
what happens when you're live, though. You got to be ready, and you never know.
Oh, you have no idea, right?
Yeah.
Something tells me Dan Kelly would have had a good laugh about that.
He might have, yeah. He's probably been in my shoes before.
He might have. I'm gonna let you ask the Ray question, because we're done.
Are you going to let me ask the Ray question?
Go ahead.
Okay. Traditionally, our last question for our guests is what we call the Ray question, and it's the question Ray normally asks over the time, but I'm going to do it today. And we ask everyone this: Jeremy, are there any hidden talents? Do you have interests, hobbies that people would be surprised to know about? Stupid human tricks, any of that kind of stuff that you can share with the people who are watching?
I do play other instruments. My actual major in college was vocal music, so I sing as well and do choirs, play saxophone, and play drums, percussion. I can do like weird things with move my scalp and all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, not anything like too crazy, but I do a variety of things. Like I said, especially musically, a variety of instruments. And a lot of people were surprised to know that I wasn't an organ major in college. I actually studied voice. I sing, and I've actually had to fill in and sing the anthem once or twice before at a blues game whenever the anthem singer didn't show up, just out of, they're like, hey, give Jeremy a mic. So
yeah. Hey, I got one real crazy one. Have you ever missed a game?
Last year I had the honor in January, and this is like when we're still like not doing very hot, things are kind of low still. I had the honor of being inducted into the Potosi Trojan Hall of Fame, and I wanted to be there for the induction, and I asked my boss if it'd be okay, and he said it'd be okay, so I went down there, and they did one game without me, and that's been the only one I've ever missed. Awesome.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to have Ron Baechle in here in just a minute, and I want to say thanks so much for watching, and we'll be right back.
And I'll say real quick, I really admire what you guys do with this. I think everybody who's ever tuned into one of these, whether it's a Legion game, whether it's a high school baseball game, with basketball, football, whatever it is, I've heard nothing but tremendous feedback about Livestream STL and what you guys do and the quality of production, things like that. I would really encourage anybody who's involved in athletics throughout the county, or really anywhere in the metro area, anybody who's interested in sponsoring activities to get on board and get involved with this. I think it's added a ton to what we do here. It's added a ton to the program. You guys are a class act, and you're committed to doing things the right way, and we really appreciate that.
What you guys do for Jefferson County sports, it doesn't go unnoticed by the coaches in all sports.
Yeah,
all sports. That. I have a lot of friends that are head basketball coaches, and I've been of course around Jefferson County all my life and followed all kinds of sports even before I got into the coaching. So what you guys do to help promote it with the kids is unbelievable, and we appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
For you guys to take your time and what you do is awesome. Just awesome.
Yeah. Well, we try. We work hard, and we think they deserve it. The kids deserve to be able to be seen, and if we can turn out kids in the community to better them, get them in college, and make them a better citizen, that's the key. And we are back here, and we appreciate everybody checking everything out. I got something going on in the background here. What's going on back there, Jeff?
That was me forgetting to mute something, right?
Oh, okay. There it is. I heard a like a frog voice back there. That was cool. I like it. I want to tell you a little bit about Vindel Services LLC and Bada Bing Classics. They are a full automotive repair, collision, and classic car restoration shop. 15% discount on any repair with free pickup and delivery on your car. Located at 301 South Adams in Festus. Give them a call at 636-638-2500. Make sure you mention Livestream STL, and they'll throw in a free disinfectant for your vehicle. So check them out over at Vindel Services LLC and Bada Bing Classics. I want to also let you know that you can catch the Coach's Box on Tuesdays at 6 o'clock. We have a good time with Coach Miller Jarvis, Coach Blair, myself, and Matt Schutte. So make sure you tune in. That's Tuesdays at 6 o'clock right here on Livestream STL and on Livestream STL Facebook and YouTube and Roku. So we're talking about our Roku channel here real quick. Also, if you're interested in our Roku channel, this is how you get a hold of it, through the TKDS network. And let me find that real quick. There it is, videos.tkdssports.com, and that is $4.99 a month if you want live stream STL through the TKDS network on your Roku. We're going to jump right back into our second segment here. We've got Ron Baechle, the Towel Man from the St. Louis Blues. Ron, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I want to say to Jeremy that we all appreciate what you do. I know earlier when they asked you, how would you describe what you do? If your feelings made a sound or a noise, I believe it's what comes from your organ. So he's very good at capturing your emotions. So that's how I describe that.
Thanks, Ron. I was telling them too. I don't know if you even know or not, but I do the chimes whenever you count off the goals. So I'm up there at the organ plugging away on that. You're all the way on the other side of the arena from me, though, so I have to really look hard.
After maybe one of these nights we'll switch and
yeah.
We can count all night. They score, you play music.
Yeah, sounds good.
Well, that's awesome. We should mention, Ray, that both of these guys were very fortunate because they are both Jefferson County residents.
That is correct.
They may not have been born here, but they certainly reside here, so we're pretty proud of that. Ron's an Oakville native, South County Tech guy, resides in Jefferson County. Best known, of course, as the Towel Man. He's an artist and owner of Ron Baechle Advertising. Ron, I was trying to connect all the dots, and correct me if I'm wrong. This is your 30th year as a Towel Man? Is that correct?
Yes, this is my 30th season. So it was a great way to crescendo and end a 30 season, bringing home a championship.
Well, how many towels do you think you've thrown in 30 years?
I get asked that because the first couple of years that we did this, we didn't actually throw a towel for every goal. It just kind of evolved in that. I know I go through about 250 towels a year. It just kind of depends on even if we don't score by the end of the night, I pretty well get picked clean if I don't keep a watch on them.
What first motivated you, Ron, to get up out of your seat and decide that you needed to get the crowd going here?
Oh, I think it was a moment of I couldn't even tell you. I went to Peoria. The whole idea came from Peoria. I went up, and ironically, with a priest friend of mine. He's a Monsignor now, Monsignor Midas, and we went up to go see the Peoria Rivermen. And this is when Plager was coach, and they were playing really good. So we went down to go watch a game, and we saw a guy by the name of Pete Martin. I learned this later, but he was the one. He would, when they'd score, he'd get up and stand in his spot, and he'd wave his towel, and it wasn't a very big deal until about the fourth goal, and we seen all 10,000 fans counting and then pointing at the goalie, and it's like, that's pretty cool, everybody counting. So Monsignor Midas, he said, you know what? That's something you could bring back to St. Louis. He says, if anybody could pull it off, you could. So we just kind of kicked it around for a while. I was in section 216 or 206. I think it was 206. And I told about a dozen people, hey, they do this in Peoria. We're going to try and start it here. And that season I was splitting my tickets with two other people. So I was only there for a third of the season. So it took 3 years for it to really catch on. The next season I had half season tickets, and it wasn't until the third season when I was there every game that it actually took off. But you could see it grow section by section by section, because there was no Jumbotron. There was nothing. Right. Each section had to see what the section next to them was doing. So it was interesting.
That's pretty cool. But I didn't realize they did that in Peoria. I used to go to Peoria the Rivermen games all the time up there. My brother and we'd road trip up for a weekend. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think we did this. They did this 3 or 4 years, and I think they called it the Towel Brigade or something like that. But I know the first the first 4 or 5 times I did it, I got called quite a few names and an idiot.
I love it.
The first couple times I had a bad towel, I was actually hitting people in the head. I didn't realize that you got to gauge the size of the towel. So it was.
That's great. That's great. That's great. If someone
to listen to.
Oh, go ahead and say it again. That we missed that.
I was going to say I wasn't smart enough to. I wasn't smart enough to listen to everybody around me and didn't sit down and stop doing it.
I gotcha. My question for you, and I'm not the person that puts these questions together. Mr. Jeff, he's going to take full responsibility for this one. So
full disclaimer.
There it is. Right. There it is. So if someone
quotes,
go ahead. What'd you say?
There are.
Oh, he's funny. If someone,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, he was coding it out. If someone watching has never been to a Blues game, describe what you do. Did you hear that?
Describe what I wait for the organ player to play his music really loud.
That's great.
How would I describe? We try and capture everybody's energy and pull it all together in a celebration and bring it to a point of eruption.
I like it.
That's a fantastic answer, actually.
I like it.
You put the exclamation point on it. There's been many a times I've asked myself, I can't believe that this has turned into what it's turned into, and I think Jeremy can back me up on this. When you have faith and you just kind of let the things go where they're going to go, it always turns out into something way bigger than you can even imagine. I can't even imagine that I'd still be doing this 30 years later, or that people would even think it's a big deal. If you're filling out a resume, the fact that I can count to 10 and wave a towel doesn't rate very high.
That's awesome.
But like I said before, when we first started the show, we would sure miss you if you weren't there. You enhance the whole experience for everybody, like Jeremy does. And but I know that we talked to Jeremy about his day in the life and what it's like on a hockey game night. And I know for a fact that you've got some little rituals you do as far as getting ready for each game and stuff like that. Can you describe that or talk a little bit about that for the folks that are watching?
Well, I'm self-employed, as you'd mentioned. So on days that we have a game, I try and make sure that I'm done somewhere around noon. Try and wrap up the stuff that I got to do with signs and design work and logos and that kind of stuff. And I try and get out of my house and we, as far as getting ready, it's pretty much the same thing. A page from Bob Plager is I treat what I put on with respect, if that makes sense. I make sure that the blue note it's a superstition. Don't let anything hit the floor or touch the floor, and make sure that you, it's about it's not the number on the back, it's the crest on the front. So yeah, there's a lot of silly things with I've got several jerseys, and as long as we're winning, I'll keep wearing the same jersey until we lose before I try and switch up and just trying to keep it new and fresh or just something different. But yeah, we get ready. We head down. Cybergs is one of the sponsors that helps me. So we go down and we'll have our you mix it up as long as we're winning. When we play the shark bites are always a good choice. So, but if I ate a lot of shrimp and broccoli through the playoffs last year, so it was like you keep ordering.
Oh my gosh!
But
well, we appreciate your sacrifice there for the team.
That's great.
I come from a family of I got 8 siblings, and we all we're all still close. We all still got a good Catholic family, and as I say, we're not we're all simple and kind of stupid, but we're really good at it. we
Are you? Let me ask. Are you still wearing the painter's pants with the jerseys? So you got the loop for the towel and all that?
I do. And I airbrush every year. Well, every couple of years I'll airbrush a new pair. And this year I had about 16 hours in the pair of pants and stuff this year, putting the cup on it.
Goodness gracious.
It's time consuming, but it's what I do.
That's good.
That's amazing. Ray, you want to fire one at him?
Yeah. How did the idea of getting sponsors and names printed on the towels start? And did it come about originally, or did you just use your advertising skills to seek out the business relationships?
That kind of just evolved into itself too. Once we moved from the arena, over at the arena, a friend of mine worked for Reebok, and he had some promotion with towels, and he gave me like 100 towels. And so what I would do with those is I wouldn't throw them after each goal, but at the end of the game I would give the towel away because I had an abundance of them. So the following year, when we left the arena and went over to the Keel, which is now the Enterprise, when we moved over there, of course they had the big jumbotron, and that changed the dynamics of it too. And then Magna Bank come along and wanted me to do a commercial waving their towel, and they were going to supply the towels, and then they wanted me to throw a towel after each goal. So the sponsors just kind of started from there. Once we did the commercial and got a little bit of airtime, it went from there. But most of the sponsors that are on my towels, they are clients that I do work for. And so it helps offset the cost of tickets and towels and just the whole thing. But it's pretty awesome to get to do what you would do anyway. And people are helping you do it.
Love it.
Well, it's great that the companies understand, the value that you bring to the process,
Well, and I think anytime you do something business wise, it's very important to me that they're getting back from me as much, if not more, than they're contributing to me. And I tell them, if you have an event or you have something that I can help you out with, and either doing your sign work or show up as towel man to promote it, and I'll do 2 or 3 events, and again, it's a back and forth. It's a give and take, so that they're getting some kind of a value out of it too, and it's done very well.
You touched on this right when we first started, but I wanted to know if this still happens. Do people still every once in a while, maybe they've had a few too many Bud Lights or something, they yell at you, "Hey, sit down," or did anybody get mad? People maybe from opposing teams that come in and watch the game. Did you get any negative feedback at all?
Oh, you mean every night?
Yeah.
No. It is interesting. Again, you go back to the rivalry. The rivalry. I think everybody, when you love your team, it's part of your love of the team that you get to razz the other fans. If you're having a good season, Lord knows we've taken the opposite end of those razzes for so many, all those people from Chicago coming in down here, and now, but there's a difference between razzing them and just being mean. Again, it comes with the sportsmanship. And I'll never forget, we had one game where a Chicago fan, he kept coming up and hounding or making fun and stuff. And I kind of treat it as a game. And I love my team, but me getting in a fight with somebody else from another team, that doesn't make sense to me, because nobody's going to pay my medical bills if I'm on a losing end of that. So I like to, again, razzing back and forth. Like, for instance, when a Chicago fan comes in and I see their jersey, I always tell them, if you would wash that jersey, it would look like ours.
That's awesome.
When we were playing Boston, in the finals, I told a couple of Boston fans, I said, if your team would just apply themselves and really get out there and put themselves out there, you could have an A on your shirt instead of just a B.
Ooh, wow!
Oh, those are beautiful. That's beautiful.
That might work in stand-up. I'm just saying that just might work in stand-up right there.
I'm telling you,
it's about having fun. When we go to watch our team, of course we want them to win. They're not going to win every game, and when they win, you want to celebrate. But by celebrating is not turning into a rabbit. It's my turn to be treat you like dirt. It's again, you celebrate together, you lose together, and it should be a camaraderie, because nobody's on top forever. And again, it was our time to come to the top, and I just so love that we won the cup in a way that no other team has done it. It took 50 years, but we did it in a way that no other team has done it. That's awesome. That is so awesome.
Absolutely.
So I play with the people. I try and play back with the people, but a Chicago fan one night, when they were giving away free T-shirts if you signed up for a credit card, and he had signed up for a card. He come around and he took the T-shirt and he tears it down the middle, through the blue note. So I and then he gives me the shirt. So on the back of the shirt, I took my Sharpie and I drew the Chicago emblem with the it was crying. The emblem was
the crying Blackhawk.
And we beat them like 5-2. And so after I had drawn that, the camera guy come up. I got to hold that up, so that went up on the jumbotron. So that made the guy, no, it's not supposed to. So I kind of backfired on him. So it was fun.
Very cool. Very, very
good
cool
stuff.
I've got a question from the audience here. So our audience has been posted a few things. Bill Hammock said, first off, he wanted to say his wife is a Potosi Trojan, so go Trojans to Jeremy. Yeah. And he says he gets reminded every time they're at a game. So good following down there for the Potosi Trojans. And Ron, have you ever come close to throwing a towel all the way down on the ice, maybe by accident?
Yes, yes, I have, and I'm very conscious of that. There are two instances. One was at the very, very end of of a period. There was, I think, 10 seconds left on the clock, and he threw it, and it hit the bar that holds the nets right behind it. It hit that. It bounced straight up, and it actually landed on top of the net. There's no way I could do that again in a million years.
Wow!
But the most memorable one was when we score a hat trick. I like to purposely throw one onto the ice. That instead of throwing a hat, I throw a towel onto the ice. And
nice.
But I never throw the towel until they announce who scored and who assisted. They do that twice, so I'm waiting for them to count and announce it. But there's so many the blue crew. There's so many people on the blue crew now. They get the hats picked up so fast that they didn't have a time. So I'm waiting, and they finally announced it. And as soon as they announced it, I went down, and the second I launched it, they dropped the puck. And it's like, oh, no, that's not going to be good. So luckily, after the face-off, the play went out of the zone. The towel landed on the ice. The referee picked it up. And then the usher came over, and I said, all right, take me out. He's like, don't tell me you did that. I said, they normally they don't get the hats picked up that fast. So now I have to throw – when we score a hat trick, I have to throw it before they announce. But yeah, we put them on the ice.
Great question.
Never during the game, though. Very good for that.
Very cool.
Ron, do the players ever acknowledge your contributions to the game, or do you interact with the players at all?
I used to have more opportunities in the past when I've been through 3 owners, and so back when Brett Hall was first here, and Cujo and Shanahan, and when they would include me a little more in the golf tournaments and fashion shows and stuff, so I had opportunities to do some stuff with the team. But as I interact, and there's a few times a year that I get to interact with them, and something I like to do is, if you're a rookie and it's your first goal as a Blues player, or your first shutout, or something, maybe a hat trick, what I like to do is I'll save the towel that I used for that game, and I like to give it to the player and ask them, your first goal as a Blues player at a home game. I'll sign it and date it, and I like to give that to the player, kind of as a memento.
That's really cool.
I'm going to jump in if you got a second here for give me a question. So,
Sure.
Is there a position that loves or hates you more than the goalie? I asked because Carter Hutton, when he came to St. Louis, had said that when he was in Nashville, he hated you because he had to hear the chimes and the goal count. But when he came to St. Louis, if I remember correctly, he put your image on one of his helmets. And I've heard Jordan Bennington mention you a time or two.
Yes, yeah, and I think exactly the fact that opposing goalies hate me, I love that, and yeah. I think you're exactly right. If you're the Blues goalie, you love what I do. If you're anybody else's goalie, you hate what I do. It magnifies what just happened.
Absolutely.
So I love that.
My question, I guess.
Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. Really good question there, Jeremy. Appreciate that. Do the players ever acknowledge your contribution to the game? I'm sorry. That was that was the last question. That was the same question. That was the same question.
I think they do.
You think they do?
Yes, I really think.
He caught out
Go
there.
ahead.
So. Yeah. To add to that question, I guess is going
to number 10.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That's where I was at. I looked at the wrong one. Sorry about that. What have been some of the favorite Blues moments over the years, aside from winning the Stanley Cup? And then we'll talk about the Stanley Cup here in just a minute. So pre-Stanley Cup.
Pre-Stanley Cup. I'll never forget the game, and I believe it was against Detroit, that Al McInnes, with about a minute left, or it's less than a minute, he unleashed one from center ice and tied it up. And I believe it was a playoff game. If not, it was late in the season, and it meant something. And that was just unbelievable and exciting. And of course, when you count the goals, as many as I have, all the hat tricks, when the hat tricks at Brett Hall, my gosh, he scored so many hat tricks that you can't even believe when you look. I think was it 27. It's like how the heck do you? That's just incredible.
It's
just
unbelievable.
incredible.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Now let's go to the Stanley Cup. Obviously, there's some great moments this this past season, and a lot of folks are kind of even relishing it, even right now during the quarantine. But we were seeing a lot of the replays of the Cup last year, all the Cup games, all the playoff games, the Maroon goal, things like that. So maybe give us maybe one. Towel guy or towel man moment that maybe a lot of folks didn't get to see that you got to see during the Cup run?
Well, first of all, we're still the champions. Nobody's taken the Cup from us, so we don't have to play anymore to prove anything. And to go through this all again just to give the Cup right back to us, I don't see a need for that. I'm okay with it.
Love it. I love it.
So probably, and if anybody would have told me this without experiencing it, Game 7 in an empty at the game watch for Game 7, and to not have a team on the ice, and if anybody would have told me that experience would be as electric, it was so close to the same emotion and feeling as the team being on the ice. If you didn't look at the ice, you didn't know.
Yeah.
And counting those goals that night were just they were chilling, just absolutely chilling, because it's in a lot of ways, the fact that the team wasn't on ice, I think made it more intense, because everybody I think was actually paying more attention without the team being on the ice, because you weren't looking in many different places. It was, I don't know, there was just something about that, and then whether you believe it or not, the extra 26,000 fans that were sitting in Busch Stadium, the energy was, again, it's undescribable. It's undescribable. Go ahead.
And to add what Ron's saying, I think I agree with what he's saying, and I think even makes it even more energetic the fact that the fans that were there, the Blues sold the tickets for what, $10, $15 a piece?
Yes.
And it went to charity. So the fans who were there were like hardcore fans. They weren't just big dollar donors or sponsors who bought tickets and gave them out to their friends who are just there for the experience. These were like loyal, hardcore fans. And I think that's what made the building even more electric, even though the team wasn't there.
It was a magic that nobody could ever convince you that you would get if you weren't there, and so many years. It took a couple weeks for everything to really sink in, because so many years you gear up. Okay, this is a year, and then there's that letdown. And so when we actually did it, there were many moments of standing there just staring, saying, "Is this really happening?"
I don't know about you guys, but here we are 10 months later, and I still question it. I still say to myself, having been a rabid Blues fan for 50 years now, did this really happen?
Right.
Did we really win the Cup? And I'll talk to my brother Dave on the phone or text. It's like, did this really happen? Because, as you said, you gear up, exactly what you said, Ron. And I think you speak for almost all Blues fans in that you gear up for that expectation that, hey, this may be the year, and then things start happening, and you kind of go, well, here we go again.
Right.
Right.
I think there's such a bad. Well, my question is, I think for all of the years that we've had such the heartache, we've had years where you go into the playoffs and you start thinking, well, here it comes again, the big letdown, and you could feel it in your heart almost, in certain series. This past year, I never had that through the playoffs. It was like the Blues had a date with destiny. What do you think, Ron?
I totally agree. There was not one series that before the game started that I felt like we couldn't do. I said every time our back was against the wall, we met the challenge. So there was never that pit in my stomach saying they're going to blow it or they're not going to do this. It just wasn't there, and it's amazing because of as you say, destiny. Things just kind of fell in place, and again, it was there's I don't know anyway, magic, just absolute magic, destiny, and I know before the series started, I had mentioned something. I was doing something with Tim Ezel on Channel 2, and I really did. I believe this, and I said when we win it's going to be a season where you come out of nowhere. It's not going to go from where you're the best team all year long and you get in, because I really think that's a detriment. You got a target on your back when there is no parade for the President's Cup.
Yeah.
And so really don't care about that one. But there really is. There were so many backstories and stuff. Again, just a real simple one. We go back, first time we make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. We're back in Boston, the last time we were ever in a Stanley Cup Final, and we're playing in overtime. And the last thing you remember there from 50 years ago was number 4 scores in overtime.
Right.
And then here it is, 50 years later, 49, number 4 scores in overtime. But this time it's our number 4. You can't write that.
Right. So good. So good.
Yeah.
Jeremy, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we know the story. But after we kind of won that 11-game winning streak, we kind of had that feeling like every night, hey, we're really clicking on all 4 cylinders. And so much so that when we got into the playoffs, especially that round against Dallas, and even in Game 7 with the Maroon goal, man, that whole game, that overtime, you just felt like it's like, when's the goal going to come? Because they're not going to score on us. I mean, we just were playing suffocating defense. It seemed like Dallas never had the puck down by Bennington at all in overtime. And it was just like, it's like a matter of time. It's like, we're sitting here waiting until we score and it's going to happen. And then that's going to be it. And you kind of had that feeling the whole way through. And then, you'd start off each series, even with San Jose, we lost that first game pretty good, but you kind of had a feeling, hey, we have a game plan. It's not to win the battle. It's to win the war. And, they kind of followed that through the series, and they just bludgeoned each team until some, basically into submission, where at the end, San Jose had like 5 guys out, I think. They just kept knocking guys out, and they were just a big, heavy team, played heavy hockey. And that was their game plan, and it worked out really well. And I mean, yeah, I felt very confident all the way through for sure, too.
I agree, and I think that was reflected in the players. You listen to the interviews, the famous Bennington quote, do I look nervous? I mean, I think that the whole team sort of had that attitude of a quiet confidence, and I think that spilled over to us fans, and I think that's what helped us, get through that whole thing and have that feeling.
What I think, too, I mean, you had Coach Berube come in, and he just really set the tone from the beginning. I felt like, I know it took a little while to get adjusted to it, but, he kind of had that mentality of like he put yesterday in the past, and I know everybody kind of does that, but, man, they bought in big time. After the hand pass, they're right on, the next 3 games, they won them, and they were just, very focused. I kind of joked that, what if Coach Berube had been the coach instead of in God bless Whitey Herzog, but what if Coach Berube would have been the coach in 1985 after the Cardinals lost Game 6? Maybe they come out in Game 7 and they just wail on the Royals instead, I just feel like that came from him. That was his mentality of, hey, we're gonna stick it to him the next game, and everybody bought in, and it was kind of a collective thought of the whole team is like, they had the coach behind him and everybody was fired up with him.
Good stuff. Good
That's
stuff.
a very good point.
Jeff, I'm gonna give you number 11.
You're going to give the 11 for Ron. Anything? We talked about the negative. We talked about some of the embarrassing things. What are some of the funniest things that have happened over the years in your role as the towel man?
I got to tell you the funniest one that was, and I think this was about 3 years ago. There was a new usher in my section, and when I come down to count the first goal, the usher was like, "Sir, please don't sit down, please don't do this. Sit down." And I said, "No, it's okay, sir. Please sit down." So I kept going down to the glass, and as I was going down to the glass, he grabbed the back of my jersey, and he's trying to keep me from going down to the glass. And the other ushers who were in charge of that, they were watching it on a jumbotron. They come over, they go, "Yeah, nobody told him about what you do." So they got the biggest kick out of that, and yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's baptism by fire right there, right?
That might have been the other ushers putting it on the new guy. It's like, hey, let's don't tell him. Let's see what he does.
I don't know. One of the other things, I launched one down and it wound up in the McBride booth, and man, I tagged a beer on somebody's table. It exploded.
Oh.
I get it.
Oh man.
That's free down there. That didn't cost him anything.
Well, there you go.
That's great.
So I'm going to give you my question, but I do have one more question from the audience out here from Bill again. And this question's for both of you. Are both of you pro Ric Flair wannabe guys or not? He says he votes no, but he wants to know your take. Are y'all pro Ric Flair?
I'm not a big Ric Flair fan. Not personally.
Okay. Ron?
I'm not a big wrestler fan, but I will say one night when we were listening to them do the Ric Flair, I felt like I was over in Africa in the Serengeti, because it was going on. It sounded like a dark midnight over in the Serengeti. It was pretty funny.
Okay.
It'll run its course. It'll go away.
Follow up to Bill's question there. What about John Denver Country Roads?
I love the song, but we got a Missouri talent. Pick a song written by somebody right here, and let's wail that one.
I like the song too. I like the song too. Same kind of thing. That'd be my takeaway, that maybe for something else is it is West Virginia and those things, but it is fun and it's engaging. But yeah, I like something kind of local too, but that's just my personal opinion, but it's fun to sing.
Nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah. I know the players picked Party All the Time for the next song, and I'm not so sure it shouldn't be Whoops, I Did It Again.
I like that one better, to tell you the truth.
Oh,
hey.
Yeah.
We could play that after we win it, okay?
That's right.
There you go.
I think you should totally lobby that there, Ron.
Well, Ray, do you want to pull out the Ray question here for Ron?
Yeah, I'll pull the Ray question out here. So here's the Ray question. What is something maybe unusual or something we might not know about Ron Baechle that might be that you might think's interesting, or maybe a hobby, maybe something that a lot of folks don't know that you might be that you do?
Well, I'm very, very much into jokes and making people laugh and doing something silly. I play drums. I've been playing in a band for many years, and I play every Sunday at our church in Imperial at our 11:30 Mass. And so the band that I'm in, there are times that I do towel man watches at away games, and the name of my band is Noteworthy. So we'll do a combination towel man Noteworthy. But probably the one thing that I do and have a blast is every now and then I'll dress up as Austin Powers, and we go out and we'll rent a limousine and just go from club to club. and we have a shagadelic time, baby. Yeah!
Love it. Love it. Oh, my gosh.
That's fantastic.
Big Austin Powers fan here, too, by the way. So just saying. Goodness. Well, guys, we've had a blast with you guys, and thanks so much for being a part of our show tonight. And we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with you guys for final thoughts, and we will be right back.
What you guys do for Jefferson County sports, it doesn't go unnoticed by the coaches in all sports.
Yeah,
all sports.
That.
You know, I have a lot of friends that are head, basketball coaches, and I've been, of course, around Jefferson County all my life and followed all kinds of sports even before I got into the coaching. So what you guys do to help promote it with the kids is unbelievable, and we appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
For you guys to take your time and what you do is awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, we try, we work hard, and we think they deserve it. Kids deserve to be able to be seen, and if we can turn out kids in the community to better them, get them in college, and make them a better citizen, that's the key.
This live stream SDL has been a huge asset for Jefferson County sports, in my opinion. I mean, getting these athletes the camaraderie that they're out there and people can see them. I mean, to be honest with you, I got a call from a coach yesterday about one of my athletes that said that they saw some of her games on live stream SDL.
Awesome.
So, I mean, that right there instilled to me that this is important. This is important for those kids. And so, I think it's great, and I wish you guys the best. And if you're out there and you want to sponsor, this is a great opportunity for kids to support kids of our local kids and get them support and get them acknowledgement out there, because we have a lot of great athletes in this county.
Well, we appreciate that. And at the end of the day, our mission is much the same as your missions, coaches, to help shine a light on these kids. And get them exposure and get their name out there and help them. And if they can advance, they're better off, we're better off as a community, and that's why we're here.
And we are back here, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight to tonight's Main Street Sports Show. And we want to say so long for everybody. Jeremy, thanks so much for being with us. And Ron, you as well. And hoping to get back to normal, whatever our new normal will be down the road here. And get back to seeing some Blues hockey, right?
I'm all for it.
Well, Ray, I'm talking to Jeremy during break, and he has agreed very graciously to take us out with a little When the Blues Go Marching In.
I like it. We'll jump on it. Let's do it. I'll pull my music down, and we can do that. We're going to say so long. Thanks so much, Jeremy Boyer. You can play this, and I've got one last commercial and a little thing going on, so go ahead and play.
Okay.
I love it. How about that?
Yes, sir.
Very nice.
Yes,
very
sir.
nice. Very nice for us here at Livestream SCO. That was our mini concert. Ron, I saw you throw your hand up there. You want to say something before we take out of here?
I was going to say, I want to end this with the next time you see a Chicago fan, let them know out of 31 teams in the NHL, there's only 3 I can't stand, and Chicago's all 3 of them.
I love it.
Beautiful.
I love it.
That was the icing on the cake right there.
Well, we'll tell you before we get out of here real quick. I forgot to take care of some business here real quick. One of our big sponsors tonight is Vindel Services and Bada Bing Classics. Vindel Services LLC, a full automotive repair, collision, and classic car restoration shop. 15% off discount on any repair with free pickup and delivery for your car. Located at 301 South Adams Street in Festus. Give them a call at 636-638-2500. Mention Livestream STL to get a free disinfectant on your vehicle. Don't forget Tuesday, the Coach's Box Tuesday. Chris Miller, Jason Jarvis, myself, Matt Schutte, and Riley Blair. 6 o'clock, we will have the Coach's Box. And also, don't forget to check us out on the Roku channel through the TKDS Sports Network. As you see Ron Baechle throwing his towel around. Throw that towel around a little bit more there, Ron, if you want. Here's our website there, videos.tkdssports.com. That's the TKDS Sports on the Roku network for live stream STL, and Ron is completely out. Awesome. And if you're interested in sponsoring with us for one of our shows here, the Coach's Box or live stream STL, you got to give us a call, 314-852-4398, or live stream STL at outlook.com. Guys, thanks so much for being on. We appreciate it again, and we're going to say so long. We will see you Tuesday right here at 6 o'clock for the Coach's Box. Have a great evening.